Corey Graves makes his WWE return. Plus, we have an update on Chris Bey following a serious injury. And we have a big update on a returning WWE star. It's all in the Cultaholic Wrestling News right now. What's going on, guys? I'm Corey Graves, back on our screens after a week and some change hiatus.
Yes, he made his return to WWE TV last night on the episode of NXT. He was, as many will already be aware, he was missing from action last week, and tweets posted online suggested that this was maybe because he was unhappy about being moved off Raw in favour of Pat McAfee during the announced reshuffle that happened when the Netflix deal kicked in and everything. He didn't seem happy about that. The tweets got the wrestling world talking and have now been deleted, and now things seem back to normal on last night's NXT.
Yeah, so a lot of people speculated that this still could be some kind of work. But the way that Corey Graves was reintroduced to the fold suggests that it might not be. Obviously, Vic Joseph on commentary told people at home as the show started not to adjust their sets, and it's not AI, it's Corey Graves, and he's back. To which Corey said, "I'm right where I want to be, where passion is everything. Only the hungry survive, and pro wrestling never stopped being cool. Let's light the fuse." Wait a minute, let's light the fuse.
Let's light the fuse.
Bring the boom. Dynamite. AEW confirmed.
This is my own just interpretation or speculation on this, but a lot of people have been saying, was this a shoot from Corey? Is this going to still turn into a work? The fact that they've kind of gone, here he is, made a little joke about it, but it hasn't led to anything major in terms of a storyline or anything. That makes me think that makes me lean more towards the side of it being his real feelings at the time, certainly.
Yeah, he really was upset with being taken off Raw and moved to NXT, and really did walk out the other week. And
that's what it
really did
like.
Come back last night.
I'm glad, though. I'm glad if there has been some sort of reconciliation, because I do think Corey's very good at what he does, and I do think he'd be a big miss if he wasn't on any of the three brands. So I am glad that it's sort of turned out this way, if that is indeed what's happened.
If that is what happened. We'll keep an eye on that one. Also, Corey Graves believes in Joe Hendry. We learned that last night as well.
We all do, Tom.
It's
we
fair.
all do. I mean, assuming that he's... Well, maybe we'll talk about it later, but assuming he's in a big match that's coming up.
Well, yeah.
The pop would be gigantic, so hopefully it happens.
Ludicrously big pop for it. Let's talk Chris Bey. So Chris Bey suffered an injury in the TNA Impact tapings just after Bound for Glory, and the match was halted. He was taken to hospital, and reports of sort of what happened have been very scarce, but the fact that so many across the wrestling divide have come out in support and raised money for Chris Bey and his family suggests that it was a very serious injury. Rob Van Dam has given us probably the biggest insight into where Chris Bey currently is on his podcast.
Yeah, on his One of a Kind podcast, he gave a bit of an update and said Chris Bey happens to live very close to us. Katie, his partner, and I went and visited him because he made it home. He was stuck in the hospital for like 2 months. He had a match, if you don't know, with the Hardy Boys. I know very little about it, but they were going for a move that didn't work out safely, and Chris broke his neck, and then he was paralyzed. Van Dam goes on to say, I don't know how much we should talk about it really, but let me just say that he's going to wait until he's ready to talk. Of course, I invited him on here, on the podcast, but he's much better than I imagined. He is not paralyzed anymore, and he's getting everything back. He's going to make a comeback too, a full comeback. I'm sure of it, but it's going to be a long journey, and we'll probably check in with him a lot.
There is some real good news within there. The fact that Chris Bey is no longer paralysed after what took place.
Yeah.
Really happy to hear that there's at least a road to recovery now.
It was one of those injuries, like you say, where obviously it was a taping, so it wasn't like the whole world was watching it, but just I remember the response on social media at the time. So many wrestlers instantly going, this is bad, help him out any way you can. And it sort of was very nice to see everyone come together, but also very scary because it indicated that it was a very serious injury. This seems like it's maybe like, it sounds weird to say, but like one of the better case scenarios that he's recovering in such a way. Hopefully it all goes as Rob Van Dam has suggested there.
There's been overwhelming support from TNA itself and from friends and family and colleagues of Chris Bey. And TNA have said that if you feel in a position to support Chris Bey, you can find out details on how you can do so at TNA tnawrestling.com/Bey. We'll stick that in the comments down there as well. We'll get you an update on another injury that took place in the wrestling world. This one on Sunday. It was at the People versus GCW. Ali, Cach, and Effie just getting underway with their match. Ali dives outside the ring and in doing so lands badly, breaks her leg in 2 places. The match is very suddenly stopped and she's blue lighted to hospital. Ali shared 2 updates since her admission to hospital.
Yes, she said, firstly, I still don't have many answers, but after surgery today, I was walking on crutches, putting on my own pants and getting up to use the bathroom by myself. I'm still floored by the support and love and will try to update and get back to everyone. My gratitude is endless. She then followed this up with another positive update as well and said, day 2, discharged and going home. I was told 6 weeks by doctors this morning to walk without crutches. Then after walking down the hall and up and down stairwell, the ortho said way sooner. I will start processing / packing orders tomorrow and updating Patreon / new merch, etc. Thank you. Very positive news there for Ali Cach, which again looked like a really serious and scary injury.
Yeah, really. A GoFundMe was set up to support Ali in aid of not just medical expenses, but just to keep the lights on at home, keep bills paid, because she's not going to be able to work for some time still. And if you feel like you're in a position to support Ali as well, the GoFundMe has, I think by now, raised its $50,000 target, which is phenomenal support from across the wrestling world as well. There's details of Ali's GoFundMe in the comments, in the description rather, below here as well. It was also at that show, the People versus GCW, that PCO took a sledgehammer to the TNA digital media title.
And it felt so pro wrestling that everyone just immediately went, oh, GCW and TNA have worked something out here. But as more and more details have emerged, no, maybe it's just one of those things.
Yeah, GCW and TNA, according to Fightful, both didn't know that was going to happen. Quite upset by that. PCO went on a tirade online in which he called out TNA for false promises, for ghosting him since December, for offering him contracts, then reneging on them, and then saying, right, you're done.
Yeah.
Come here and come to the show and drop your title, and that's what led to this build-up of frustration on the night. In terms of what happens next with the TNA digital media title, well, the TNA website probably gives a little bit of indication.
Yeah, that's because the title isn't just listed as vacant, it's just totally disappeared altogether, which suggests that TNA might be dropping the title completely. We might get some answers when TNA presents a live episode of Impact tomorrow night, but I would suggest that maybe they'll just go, no, I'll just not talk about it, and that could be the end. It would be one of the more odd endings of a title in modern wrestling history, I think.
TNA are just cursed when it comes to mid-card titles. I did a video on it years ago here at Cultaholic where they've always tried to get this sort of heavyweight mid-card title off the ground. The Global Championship, the TV Championship, the Legends Championship, and the digital media titles, the latest in that one, when all the while you've got the X Division title, which some people will go, oh, it's a cruiserweight title, but it's not a cruiserweight title. That's the whole thing. It's about no limits.
It's not about weight limit. Yeah, it's about no limits.
It's about
no
limits.
The current X Division champion is Moose, and he's a big old boy.
He's a big boy. And I don't know why they don't just lean into making that just their mid-card title.
Oh, they absolutely should. The X Division title is arguably like the most famous belt in TNA history as well, so all the more reason to. But if any more emerges, PCO seems like he's not mincing his words, so he might have more to say, and we'll keep you posted.
We don't know whether or not the digital media title will be back, but it's looking like Ilia Dragonov is due back a little sooner than we expected.
Yeah, very exciting news for fans of Ilia Dragonov, who's now, of course, I keep having to remind myself, he's on the Raw brand because he recently got called up from NXT, and then the injury was really unfortunate timing because he was just making his start on the main roster. But we did get an update via Corey Brennan of Fightful, who reported that Ilia Dragonov has been spotted at the Performance Center training for his in-ring return. It was noted that Dragonov was not at the Performance Center for rehab, but was taking part in traditional training ahead of his in-ring return and was not wearing any support gear for his injury. So that's very exciting news as well.
Yeah, it was an ACL tear that he suffered in September, and it was, I believe, during a match with Gunter.
I think it was at a live event. Yeah.
So give us Gunter and Dragonov again. Like these, they have magic together. Those two do. Do you know what? I caught myself there. Well, let's say watch on the network.
Oh no, watch it on the network.
I just want someone do that picture of me, like the Wolverine meme, just me longingly looking at the photo of the network.
The one of Escobar looking out over his land and out the window, and just looking sad in various places. I don't know how else to phrase it. Do you remember that match?
Remember that match?
They had like arguably the best match of the entire lockdown time, where the empty arena match, where you could just hear the echoing strikes and chops and everything.
Visceral.
So, I agree with you. I think that they could easily run that back and no one would be annoyed.
Yeah. So as it stands, there's no immediate plans for what Dragonov will do when he comes back, and there's nothing set in for a return in the imminent future. But the fact that, as Jack said, he's training without any support gear, it seems like he's ahead of time because he's on month 4 of a 6-month recovery.
Yeah, absolutely. And it seems like sometimes, obviously, you never want to see wrestlers push themselves too hard to come back from injury. But I like to think that in this new, Paul Levesque Triple H era and everything, he seems to be more interested in putting people in storylines when the time suits them rather than just getting them back as quickly as possible. That's how it's felt anyway. So hopefully Dragonov is kept back there until he's ready to go and until there's the storyline potential for like a maximum impact as well.
Maximum impact, indeed. Are you twitching tonight?
Myself and Owen, we are twitching tonight. Honestly, Tom, it's been a roller coaster.
Oh, it's been happening.
I've been every week when you ask me if I'm twitching with Owen, and I get more and more sort of despondent about it. And I'm
I've noticed it goes in waves, as Mr. Prob said that time. It's wave after wave,
it is.
And sometimes you'll come in, you'll go, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
But sometimes you'll be ebullient.
I'll tell you what, that last week we'd built up to a block of fixtures in our season that we'd called ahead of time the month of death, because we were just taking on great team after great team. We were so scared. Somehow we kept pulling like lucky wins out the bag. And now the month of death's gone, it's behind us. It's plain sailing, in theory. But as you've said, peaks and troughs.
Anything can happen in Football Manager.
Oh, that's at 6
Federation.
p.m. UK time, twitch.tv/Cultaholic. I got too excited talking about it, I forgot to actually do the thing. 6 p.m.
6 p.m. GMT.
Yes.
And for the latest wrestling news at any time, you can check out cultaholic.com. Stay safe and love you. Bye.